What's good, Modern Retro Show fam? Teacher Eddie back with another reaction. I know it's been a few days ever since I spilled that water on my laptop, but I'm glad to be back. And of course, I had to come back with an ERB, right? No better way to get the party started. This is one I've been looking forward to doing a long time. We got the Battle of the Kings, the King of Pop versus the King of Rock and Roll, and this is a hard one for me to choose. As a kid, Jacob's age, I was obsessed with Elvis Presley, but I was also obsessed with Michael Jackson because I grew up in the 80s. I remember when the Thriller album came out in 1983. It was like the biggest thing ever. So choosing one of these guys, man, I don't know. I can't choose. I just can't. How do you choose one over the other? But hopefully this is going to live up to my expectations. Yo, number one, this kid is fire. Holy crap, we got little Michael Jackson. Yeah, so for those who may not be familiar and only know Michael as an adult, Michael Jackson had been entertaining the world since he was 6 years old with the Jackson 5. His Papa Joe Jackson, who unfortunately was not the nicest of fathers, created because he wanted his boys to be entertainers, and he really exploited them at the end of the day. He was a piece of shit as a person. But yeah, they got a little Michael Jackson starting this one off. So let's go through some of these lyrics here. So basically he's saying, you stole from the culture, which is the big, complaint against Elvis. Is, well, he didn't really, how can you call him the king of rock and roll when he didn't create rock and roll? He was just the right pigmentation in the 50s for rock and roll to be acceptable to the larger white audience. Because, I mean, in all honesty, the argument can and should be made for somebody like Chuck Berry is the king of rock and roll. But even before that, there were other rock and roll stars, but Elvis was the one who broke through in the mid 50s, especially once he got onto Ed Sullivan. Then he really blew up. The Ed Sullivan Show was like the biggest variety show. Everybody in America was watching Ed Sullivan. Every major act. Comedians, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, the Beatles, Elvis. I mean, everybody appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show. That was kind of like your boost to success and fame and everything else. So rockabilly, because Elvis did have very deep country roots as well. Elvis was really into gospel music, country music. So he kind of combined all of it. And that's what he's saying, rockabilly cheese, but he's calling his music cheese. You dance like you dance like an epileptic. I mean, dancing wise, yes, Michael takes it. Michael takes it by far when we talk about dancing. But yeah, I mean, Elvis wasn't a terrible dancer, but I mean, again, we're talking about the 50s. There was actually a huge controversy. Elvis was known as Elvis the Pelvis. Because they considered, because it was still early on in rock and roll, and even though Elvis was white and more acceptable, for the broader audience, the issue was still that a lot of people considered, rock and roll to be the devil's music. And it was the same thing later on in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, like every new genre of music, whether it be heavy metal, whether it be hip hop, whatever, it's the devil's music to the older generation. So the big controversy was actually Elvis's dancing because they thought it was very sexual. And so they started calling him Elvis the Pelvis for how he would gyrate his hips, which, of course, if you go and look at it now, kids would be like, that is so lame. Like, what is he even doing? He's dancing like an epileptic. And when he appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, they shot him only from the waist up. So people wouldn't see like what was going on down there in the man parts. Every record you set, man, I beat it. See, that's the big question. Like, how do you weigh who's more, who is bigger, Elvis or Michael Jackson? It depends on, because there's a lot of arguments to be made. I mean, Elvis still holds the records as far as Billboard numbers go, like most #1 hits. The Beatles are still #1, I believe. I think Elvis is second, and Michael's, he's in the top 10, but Elvis hasn't beat there. Elvis hasn't beat for most weeks at #1. So as far as those numbers go, and you also have to understand, while, Elvis, you can make the argument that, he stole and he bit off black culture and appropriated it. Elvis also didn't have things that Michael had. For example, MTV. MTV, as much as MTV, Michael Jackson made MTV, MTV also made Michael Jackson. It was just perfect timing because Michael, once he leaves the Jackson 5, his first album was called Off the Wall. But then Thriller comes out 82, 83, and that perfectly coincides with MTV hitting the scene. So that was a worldwide, so the worldwide reach was greater. Media coverage, television, radio, MTV, and then of course the dawn of the internet and everything else. So Michael had, many more tools at his disposal. But, again, it's a trade-off here because you can make an argument for Michael, you can make an argument for Elvis. That's why I couldn't pick a winner here. So every record that he set, no, Michael didn't beat every record he set. And Beat It, of course, is a reference to Beat It, one of the greatest songs of all time, one of Michael's greatest songs off the Thriller album. Just beat it, beat it. Beat it. It's a step, don't swallow a bucket of drugs, so you won't down the toilet, jam hugs and burn a look. That's kind of funny coming from Michael, though. That's a little bit of irony right there. So don't swallow a bucket of drugs. So later on in life, Elvis did start taking massive amounts of prescription drugs. Like he wasn't like, on coke or any like heavy drugs like that, but he was taking a ton of prescription drugs and got really weird. Some of Elvis's later concerts, Elvis died in August 16th of 1977. And some of his concerts the last 2-3 years or so, like he would stop the concerts in the middle and just start telling random stories. He would do weird things like he shot his television one time, the cops came out. He was always shooting his gun off. One time during a pool game, they were playing billiards, and for whatever reason, some girl said something that pissed him off. He took the pool cue and like broke it over her back. Like he got really violent and really weird in his final years there. And unfortunately, he passes away in August of 1977 from a heart attack. But the prescription drugs really played a major role in that, as well as his weight. And he did unfortunately die on the toilet making hunks of burning love. Hunk of Burnin' Love is an Elvis song, so it's a double reference there. But the irony, of course, is how Michael Jackson dies, right, in 2009. Also due to, unfortunately, misuse of prescription drugs. So that kind of backfires on Michael. I'm bad. I'm a smooth criminal. So again, referencing two Michael Jackson songs. Who's Bad? And Smooth Criminal, another great Michael Jackson song. But he's also saying how dope he is. He's bad. He's a smooth criminal. Smooth criminal, put a face up, call me ass Sullivan, shoot the river waist up. This kid is so awesome. I love this kid. I'm a smooth criminal, put a face up, call me ass Sullivan, shoot the river waist. That is like a gangster ass line from this kid, son. He's like, call me Ed Sullivan, I shoot you from the waist up. So the double entendre there. So just as I mentioned before, when Elvis appears on Ed Sullivan, they censored him by shooting him only from the waist up. But he's also saying, yo, son, don't come at me with that nonsense, man. I'm gonna shoot you from the waist up like Ed Sullivan. That is like a dope ass like hip hop bar right there, man. damn, this kid is fire, son. So yeah, go a couple of points that he mentioned here. Moonwalk on your blue suede shoes. Yeah, watch me moonwalk. The moonwalk, woo! I showed Jacob. So Michael Jackson debuts the moonwalk. I remember this. Like, this was earth-shattering. Like, it is so hard to explain to people how much more connected we were before the internet, because it was such a worldwide phenomenon, because we didn't have the internet and we didn't have, you know, so many different, you know, cable channels and Netflix and so many forms of entertainment. So the television was such a big deal because so many people were watching the same things. And Motown, which was one of the biggest, you know, black-owned and you know, black-featuring record companies. Motown had, I think it was the 25th anniversary show, Motown 25. So, you know, the Jackson 5, Diana Ross, like all the big African-American stars of the day who were on Motown appeared. And Michael appeared with the Jackson 5, but then he appeared solo, and he premiered one of his songs. It was called Billie Jean, which is now an iconic song. And in the middle of the song, he breaks out and he does the moonwalk, and people lost their minds. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. It was the talk of the world, like, the next day. So yeah, the moonwalk was huge. I still get goosebumps watching it on YouTube. Step on Your Blue Suede Shoes. Blue Suede Shoes was a song that Elvis made popular. That's another argument you can make against Elvis. Elvis never wrote any songs. Elvis mainly just had other, you know, studio musicians who were writing songs, and Elvis would just sing them. So, for example, Blue Suede Shoes was actually first sung by Carl Perkins. He wrote the song, but then Elvis sang it, and then it became popular. And one of the lines in the song is, "Don't step on my blue suede shoes." Like, that's basically what the whole song is about. It's about some dude, his blue suede shoes. He's like, "Man, don't step on my blue, baby. Don't be stepping on my blue suede shoes now, baby. You know what I'm talking about? Don't step on my blue suede shoes." And he's like, "I'll step on your shoes." Yeah, so longevity, of course, definitely. You know, Michael takes the cake with longevity because he was famous his entire life, really, from 6 years old until the day he died. So well over 4 decades worth. Elvis, from mid-50s to his death in 77, 20 years. Now, the whole thing about, you know, even in death, I go platinum. Arguably, Elvis sold more records after his death than when he was alive. Elvis actually dies not as popular and wealthy as he eventually became. All credit goes to his ex-wife at the time, for really rebuilding, you know, Priscilla Presley. She's the one who turned Graceland into a museum. She's the one who got all of his accounting in order, his licensing rights. She single-handedly rebuilt Elvis's entire image. Of course, mainly doing it for their daughter, Lisa Marie Presley. I'm the king of pop, you're the king of jelly rolls. Oh my God, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. This kid is everything, man. I love this kid. Look at that. I love that. Man, this kid deserves an Oscar for this. Well, I died on the shitter, but I don't give a crap. Elvis, okay. Elvis came out strong with that one. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. Yeah, I died on the shitter. I don't give a crap, though. One for your monkey, a 2 for your clothes, 3 for your family, and a 4 for your nose. Damn. He's got that Ed Sullivan get up. I got better raps that I got one for your monkey. Oh man, Bubbles. Yeah, so Michael owned, he did have a pet monkey named Bubbles. Bubbles was pretty much more famous than most Hollywood stars at the time. Bubbles the monkey. And that's when he got into that with the media calling him Wacko Jacko. We're talking like, mid, late 80s into the 90s. A lot of people started questioning his behavior and everything else. So I got one for your monkey. Two for your clothes. Yeah, he did have some questionable outfits later on in life. Showing up to court in pajamas is never a good look, son. Three for your family. Yes, very dysfunctional family. So especially the sister, LaToya Jackson. LaToya Jackson went wild, man, especially during the whole Wacko Jacko thing. She really turned on her brother, man. She was selling him out left and right, and then she started that whole psychic network thing, this 1-900 service. Back in the day, we had 900 numbers. You would call them, and they had all types of 900 numbers for party lines, for pornography, for everything. And then they had the Psychic Friends Network, and LaToya Jackson was their spokesperson, and everybody used to make fun of it because she was constantly in domestic violence relationships, and man, why don't you see all them punches coming, man? Get your ass out of here with that psychic network. But she sold her brother out. She pretty much would agree and try to verify Michael, even with the kids stuff, she said, yeah, that's true, but a lot of the brothers, Tito, just very dysfunctional family, but it all stems from the father figure. Papa Joe Jackson was, again, piece of shit. And full for your nose. Yeah, so that was a big thing. People made fun of Michael Jackson's nose all the time because of the plastic surgery. Some people said he had so much plastic surgery that he didn't even have a nose left. It was just fake, and of course the one for you. So it's from the song Blue Suede Shoes, because the song Blue Suede Shoes, Elvis Presley's song that Carl Perkins wrote, says 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready now, go cat go, and don't you step on my blue suede shoes.
You better surrender, talk about them ABCs, because all you want to do is teach kids the birds and the bees.
Oh damn, he went there. Yup, he went there.
You better surrender, talk about them ABCs.
You better surrender talking about them ABCs. So that's a reference also to a Jackson 5 song. One of their early hits was the song ABC. ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. More simple than do, re, mi, ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me. So that was a big that was a big Jackson 5 hit. And the Jackson 5 were the 5 brothers, again, with Michael on lead vocals. But he's using it as, you better quit talking about them ABCs, because all you're trying to do is teach kids the birds and the bees. Yeah. So those allegations. There were allegations. I don't know. I really don't want to get too deep into it. That's what he said. And I've done, some research, and, I've looked into it, and I am of the opinion that I don't believe he did anything. His personality is somewhat understandable if you understand how he grew up. And I know plenty of people who had terrible childhoods, and as adults, they try to relive their childhoods. Did he take it a little too far? Yes. But did he do anything wrong? From everything I've seen, stepping back and not prejudging with an open mind, I don't feel he did anything wrong. Was he exploited? He was exploited his entire life. From his father, to his siblings, to his fans, to his friends. This is a man who from 6 years old until the day he died was arguably the most famous person on the planet. There was nobody who was more photographed, known. Could you imagine that life? That it's not even a life. Literally not being able to do anything, to go anywhere without being mobbed, without people having their hands in your pocket, without just having peace of mind, or just being able to go out and get yourself a Slurpee, you know, the things we take for granted. That was impossible for somebody who was literally and arguably the most famous person in the world for decades. There was no place on earth where people didn't know Michael Jackson.
Cause all you wanna do is teach kids the birds and the bees. This is the big time Jack on a dress rehearsal. I'll light you up like your hair in a Pepsi commercial.
Oh damn, I forgot about that.
This is the big time Jack on a dress rehearsal. I'll light you up like your hair in a Pepsi.
Ooh, I remember that. Michael Jackson, so you had the Cola Wars in the 80s. So Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And they were signing everybody, like the biggest stars of the day. Michael Jackson, Madonna, even Ray Charles got in on that Pepsi money. So Michael was shooting a commercial for Pepsi, and they had some pyrotechnics, you know, like fireworks or whatever. And he was in the middle of doing the commercial, and it was a dance sequence, and they started putting out the pyrotechnics, and apparently just a little ember or whatever got into his hair, and he had, you know, obviously the hairspray and all the stuff for the commercial, and his hair literally caught on fire, and it was bad. I remember he had to have like reconstructive surgery on his skull because of the severity of the burns on his head. It was huge news when that happened because it was Michael Jackson, right? And this is after Thriller had already come out, and Thriller became the biggest selling album of all time. So it was huge news when Michael caught fire, man. Literally.
Commercial. I can tell you're angry, but I can't comprehend it. I stole from black culture. Why are you offended? Your daddy be.
Oh damn! Oh fuck! Really? Damn, Elvis! Wow!
Tell you're angry, but I can't comprehend it. I stole from black culture. Why are you offended?
Oh fuck! Okay. Oh fuck! Oh man, Elvis went Chuck D on himself. Public Enemy had a song where Chuck D said, Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. Damn. Elvis went in on it. He admitted, yeah, I stole from black culture, but why are you offended? Calling him out for the vitiligo. Whew. He's saying, man, you ain't black. Why are you offended?
Your daddy beat gold records out of you like alchemy.
Your daddy beat gold records out of you like alchemy? Holy shit, what a double. Yo, that's like one of the Mike Tyson double uppercuts from like 1987, son. Mike Tyson had that uppercut, he would bring it in under your chest, and then he would follow it up with a second uppercut right under your chin. He came in with the I stole from black culture, why you offended, and your daddy beat gold records out of you like alchemy back to back. Holy shit. Yeah, so that's a reference again to Michael Jackson's father, also being abusive, not just to Michael, but to all the kids. And I beat gold records out of you like, or he beat gold records out of him like alchemy. And alchemy is the wet dream of everybody. It's the science of trying to find a way to make artificial gold, right? So alchemists are always, you know, throughout history have been finding ways to, it's basically like the original get rich quick scheme. The desire for alchemy, but damn. And also saying I stole from black culture. It's fuck. Don't make me spank you.
Make me spank you and dangle your ass off a roof balcony.
Ooh, don't make me spank you and dangle yourself over a balcony. Elvis came with a triple. Yo, son, that was a triple. When Michael Jackson had, what was the kid's Blanket? Yeah. And Michael Jackson named his kid Blanket. And it was one of those wacko jacko moments that really just caught fire and went international. You know, obviously all the news media, the paparazzi were trying to get a picture of Michael Jackson's kid because it's, you know, Michael Jackson's first kid. And he came out on a balcony and was waving to everybody, holding the baby wrapped in a blanket in a blanket. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, Michael just holds out the baby and holds it over the balcony to show everybody. And people were like, what the fuck, Michael? Like, literally, like it wasn't like the balcony and it was like 3 feet down. It was stories up. And he's dangling this baby over the balcony, and people lost their fucking minds. But it was kind of like a what the fuck, man. So he's saying, don't make me dangle your ass over the balcony.
Oh, it's about time for a thriller. Didn't lose any chocolate. I just added vanilla. I'm going off the wall.
Oh damn! We got older Michael Jackson. This is like Michael in the 90s. It's about time for a thriller. So, of course, referencing his own album, Thriller. Again, not just his biggest album, but one of the biggest selling albums of all time. I think it's always been a back and forth between Thriller and the Eagles' greatest hits for the greatest selling album of all time. I don't know what the current one is. I like that. I didn't lose any chocolate. I just added vanilla. Yo, that's a dope comeback. For all that shit Elvis said, he's like, man, I didn't lose any chocolate. I just added vanilla. So the whole story behind that was Michael's claim was he had vitiligo, which is a very rare disease. But it's basically where your body does not produce pigmentation. Melanin. Is it melanin or melatonin? I forgot. Whatever. You'll correct me in the comments. But basically, that's what caused him to lose the color in his skin. A lot of people claim that he did it on purpose, that, you know, he was bleaching his skin, and some people said there was a lot of misinformation going back and forth. To me, that is something I never really cared about. You know, I mean, it's all superficial bullshit. It's what kind of person are you? So I never really cared about that or looked into it because it really didn't matter to me. Like, I don't care. Like, as long as a person's happy, it's their body. They could do whatever they want with it. Or if he did have the illness, then he had an illness. But either way, it's none of my business. But that's a dope line, though. That was a great comeback. Didn't lose any chocolate, just added vanilla.
I'm going off the wall. I won't stop till I get it.
I'm going off the wall. I won't stop till I get enough. So Off the Wall was Michael Jackson's first solo album after he leaves the Jackson 5. And Won't Stop Till You Get Enough is one of the big songs off that album. Won't stop, don't stop till you get enough.
Whooping your big fat ass with a shiny glove. How you go?
Ooh, whooping your big fat ass with the shiny glove.
I won't stop till I get enough. Whooping your big fat ass with a shiny glove.
So the glove, the one glove, the shiny glittery glove, son. In the 80s, like there was Michael Jackson everything, right? But they even had Michael Jackson action figures, and I remember having the Michael Jackson action figure with the one glove, and I remember I always wanted the red jacket from Beat It, but we could never afford it. I did get Jakob one. He has one. It's actually hanging right next to me here. He wears it on the show whenever we do Michael Jackson reactions. But I did find like a bootleg kind of made sparkly glove, and that was like the biggest thing for me as a kid to have the one glove like like that was so big. It was so iconic. It was like Michael, you knew. Like, people were legit walking around with red leather jackets with 50 zippers on them back in the 80s. You know, zippers everywhere, son. Zip, 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 zip. And the one glove. Everybody wanted to be Michael in the 80s, man.
How you gonna talk about the birds or bees when you met your own wife when she was only 14 and you made one?
I forgot about that. That's true. That is true. When Elvis, so a couple of weeks after Elvis appears on the Ed Sullivan Show, he gets drafted into the army. Like literally, like it was like real quick, and a lot of people think it was done purposefully by the government in drafting him because he was causing so much ruckus in the United States. So they felt it was a way to tame him, and so he goes over to Germany, and he was in the army for about 2 years. And it's while he's stationed in Germany from I want to say, I think he went in 58, and he was in there until 1960. And that's where he meets his future wife, Priscilla Presley. And she was only 14 at the time, but she always claimed that they never had any sort of romantic relationship. She came from a pretty affluent family. So Elvis, of course, Elvis in the Army, it's not like he was, going to see any action or anything. He was mainly entertaining the troops and all that stuff. So he had a very cushy lifestyle in the Army. And he did marry her, but he married her several years later when she turned either 20 or 21. But they didn't have any contact until she got older, once he left Germany and went back to the U.S.
Bees when you met your own wife when she was only 14 and you made $1, she came to me. I took her to my Neverland ranch to
Holy shit.
$1, she came to me. I took her to my Neverland ranch
I took her to my Neverland ranch to Oh man, I took her to my Neverland ranch to hee. Holy fuck! This is one of the best. This is one of the best ERBs I've ever done. This is definitely living up to the hype. But yeah, so Priscilla Presley and Elvis Presley get married. In the late 60s, 67, 68, somewhere around there. And then they do have one daughter, Lisa Marie Presley. And in the mid-90s, Michael and Lisa Marie did get married, but their relationship was fucking weird. And a lot of people looked at it as a sham marriage because, number one, it happened around the time of the sexual abuse allegations made by minors against Michael. So a lot of people felt that it was a publicity stunt to kind of show, because Michael had never really been seen in any romantic relationships with, adult women. And the marriage to Lisa Marie was viewed by a lot of people as just some bullshit PR move to show that, oh no, look, Michael's married to a woman. He doesn't mess around with kids. What are you talking about? And they were never seen like romantically, like, in public or holding hands or anything. So they appeared at some kind of award show. I think it was an MTV award show. And they walked out on stage together holding hands. And Michael said, he said something, I don't remember, like, y'all didn't think this was real or whatever. And then they had the most awkward kiss on stage. Like, it was so staged and it looked so bad. And then eventually they got divorced like 2 years later or whatever it was. The marriage didn't last long. So a lot of people don't think any hee-heeing was happening there. But it is a great line. I took it to my Neverland ranch to hee-hee.
You should have stayed in the army, dude. Come on, even Tito looks better than you. I'm singing, you're singing, don't be cool. There's only one crown, baby, let the one king rule.
Yeah, there's only one crown. Well, yeah, because Michael Jackson was the king of pop. Elvis was the king of rock and roll. So who's the one true king, right? You should have stayed in the army, dude. Yeah, the big complaint was Elvis changed after he got out of the army. So once he got out of the army in 1960, his manager, who just, if you want to know about the most unscrupulous piece of shit fucking person in music management history, it's Colonel Tom Parker. Colonel Tom Parker wasn't even a fucking colonel. But Colonel Tom Parker negotiated an early contract with Elvis where he got 50% of everything Elvis ever made. 50, not 15, like most, agents and managers get 50. And he exploited the fuck out of Elvis in the 60s. So Elvis basically just stops making music and starts making these god-awful fucking movies. Some of Elvis's early movies actually are very good movies. My favorite one is King Creole. King Creole is a great, great movie, but he made it before he went into the army. And then Jailhouse Rock was a great movie. So his pre-army movies are actually very good. But then he just starts making he made like 30-something movies in the 60s. Some of them were kind of fun, like Viva Las Vegas, but they were campy movies, but some of them were just flat out fucking terrible, and they were just made to promote his songs, right? Like he had a song called Blue Hawaii, so they made a movie called Blue Hawaii. You know, it's like Eddie Murphy said in Delirious. He's like, you know, they made Elvis act. They were like, Elvis can't act? Man, fuck that. Let him sing his lines. Hey, Elvis, we're going to win this race? We're going to win this race. Elvis wants some lemonade. Lemonade, that cool, refreshing drink. But then Elvis kind of like took his career back into his own hands. And then he had one of the biggest specials of all time, the 1968 special. He called it the Comeback Special. It's called Elvis's 68 Comeback Special. And that's when you had badass Elvis come back. Elvis came out with the leather suit, looking fly as all hell. And then from then on, Elvis was back. But for those 8 years, not so good. Let me see if
I'm singing, you're singing, don't be.
I'm singing, you singing, don't be cruel. So Michael's just basically going back to that whole I'm bad, I'm a smooth criminal type thing. Like I'm singing, I'm putting it all out there. You singing, don't be cruel to a heart that's true.
Oh, there's only one crown, baby, let the one king rule.
You're a creeper, dude. You like to grab your own winger. I wanna let you marry my daughter cause I knew you'd never bang her. You think you're... Yep. That's what most people think. That yeah. He's like, yeah, you can marry my daughter. You know, there's some dudes like I remember when I was married, my wife was friends with this guy named Joe. Yeah, I was friends with Joe too. And, you know, I'm generally not the jealous type because I'm just confident in my skills in that department, in the romance department. So I'd be like, yeah, whatever, man, go out. You know, if you need to get some, go get some. You know, as long as you come home to me, that's all I care about. But there's some dudes who are like, yeah, ain't nothing going to happen there. Like, you can hang out with them all you want. That is the most least threatening motherfucker I've ever seen. And Joe was one of those people. Like, I love Joe, but I knew, like, if my wife was like, yeah, I'm going out with Joe and, you know, some other people, I'm like, go ahead, man, I ain't worried. And that's kind of like what Elvis is like. He's like, yeah, you can marry my daughter. I know you ain't going to do shit anyway. You're tough, man, you look like Tootie. I was better than you and...
Oh, damn, wait.
Daughter, cause I knew you'd never bang her. You think you're tough, man, you look like Tootie.
Okay, yeah, there is. Is that the same kid from before? Man, you look like Tootie. Tootie was a character on an 80s show called The Facts of Life. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The Facts of Life. I love The Facts of Life. That was a great show. And there was a character there named Tootie. Yeah, so you ain't threatening. You kind of like Tootie. You could have went with Steve Urkel also, I guess. Look at that. We got a Tootie reference, man. There you go. The Facts of Life. Facts of Life was a great TV show.
I was better than you in my Blue Hawaii movie.
I was better than you in my Blue Hawaii movie, yeah. He's saying even in my shittiest movies, I'm still better than you.
You lost your damn mom, that's why they cast you in The Wiz. Like a sad white woman who never got to be a kid.
You lost your damn mind when they cast you in The Wiz. Oh shit, The Wiz. I
You
forgot
lost your
about
damn
that.
mom, that's why they cast...
You lost your damn mind. That's why they cast you in The Wiz. So The Wiz was a 70s movie where they remade The Wizard of Oz with an all-black cast. So Diana Ross was playing Dorothy. The Diana Ross. Put respect on that name when you say it. And Michael played the Scarecrow. And of course, what was the Scarecrow looking for? If I only had a brain. I actually love The Wiz. Wiz was a great movie. You lost your mind. That's why they cast you in The Wiz. So yeah, you lost your mind just like the Scarecrow.
In The Wiz, like a sad white woman who never got to be a kid. I'm out before you try to hold...
Like a sad way. Yeah, that was a joke about they would make about Michael later on in life, that he looked like an old white Jewish woman. And you know, That's just fucked up. It's just fucked up how cruel people can be. And especially to somebody who gave so much of his life to not just entertainment and music and everything else, but was genuinely a kind soul who was exploited by his father, by his family, and then eventually by the media, who loved him with one hand and then slapped the shit out of him with the other when, you know, it was popular to hate him. And that's really fucked up and sad. Like, as amazing as he was, I would never want that life. I would never ever want that life. That's not a life. That's just cruelty. Absolutely cruel.
Hold me and free your Willie!
Before you try to hold me and free your Willie.
Like a sad white woman who never got to be a...
But that was it. He never got to be a kid. And like I said, I know people like that who, you know, they don't have that type of money, but...
Kid, I'm out before you try to hold me and free your Willie!
Before you try to hold me and free your Willie. So again, double entendre there. So Free Willy was a movie, I believe it was a Disney movie. It came out in 1993. And Willie was a killer whale. And the whole point of the movie was they were trying to free this whale named Willie from captivity. So Free Willy. And of course, I don't know if they did that on purpose. Or if they really knew what they were doing and marketing that fucking movie by calling it Free Willy, but that was the biggest joke, was Free Willy, because Willy is another term for your Johnson, for your Wang, for the twig and berries, right? It's like, ooh, I'm gonna free my Willy. So yeah, but he's saying don't free your Willy in that way, son, because you a creep.
Willie! Later, weirdo! Elvis is leaving the building!
Elvis is leaving the building. So yeah, that was another famous line there. After a concert, they would announce, Elvis has left the building. That's how they would end concerts. Who won? I have no fucking clue. I almost feel like the edge is towards Michael, but it's not. They both did phenomenally. I mean, this lived up to all the hypes. This may be one of my longest this was 1 minute and 57 seconds, and my reaction it's going on 43 minutes. But this was so enjoyable. I loved this one so much. It lived up to every single expectation. Who won? I don't know. That's why I said I couldn't pick a winner in this one. I mean, maybe I could see, the slightest of edges to Michael, but especially more for the young Michael. That kid stole the show, son. Best flows, definitely the young Michael and the older Michael, but best insults, I think I gotta go with Elvis for like the best insults. So I can't pick a winner in this one, but this was so awesome. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved everything about it. So as always, fam, all the thanks to you for the support, for everything. We're almost at 100,000. I can't believe it. We started the channel this time last year, and we're already almost at 100,000. Just mind-boggling. So thank you so much for the support. And if you want to support the show, please check out the links in the description. And as always, we're going to shout out our Patreons who keep the show running, who keep things running here. So hopefully I could do this, as much as I can. And thank you guys so much. I've been Teacher Eddie, and I'll see you in the next one, fam. And Chris H, Jump with E, Phoenix, Laughin' Jackal, The Principals, James R, Spacey Doodle, Elena G, Ulrike, Nick, Lauren, Tommy, Clement, Vajandra, Muri Kakari, Alan, Chad, Alex, Baba Mama, Aaron Shepard, Blue Tech, Christopher, Dallas, Seeger, Freeman, Nathan, Rasmus, Viking Nerd, and Kevin G. I've been Teacher Eddie.